Hello everyone, welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Well, this has been really a trying couple of weeks. We had some mass shootings in Buffalo, New York, Chattanooga, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and of course the one that captured most of the nation's attention in Uvalde, Texas. Follow that up with some crazy gun legislation coming out of the House of Representatives, and then just yesterday we get word that in fact the United States Senate has reached a more modest agreement, in principle at least, on some gun control legislation. Whenever we have these unspeakable tragedies, all the experts come out from both sides of the fence and scream from the top of the mountains what they believe the solution is. We have one group of Americans out there screaming that the problem is the guns, and that of course the only solution is to take all the guns. We have another group of people out there saying, listen, the problem's not the guns. In fact, maybe we should have more guns rather than less guns. The problem is one of mental health. Listen, I'm going to take both of those perspectives, the one that we have to get rid of all the guns, the one that the problem is not the guns but the mental health, and I'm going to accept both of those to be true. And because of that, we're still going to spend some time about why we need to spend this summer securing our schools. Okay, so the issue is, I'm going to wade out into very treacherous territory here because I know there are plenty of people out here in the YouTuberverse that believe that they know how they're going to save kids' lives. Now, there is one group, a political movement out there that thinks that all of our problems and violence are, of course, created by guns and guns alone, that guns somehow or another go into schools and shoot the places up on their own, and therefore the solution to their problem is to ban all the guns, okay? And we'll talk about that in a moment. Now, there is another group, typically very pro-Second Amendment, who says, listen, the problem is not the guns. You obviously need some deranged individual to go in there and pull the trigger, and therefore the problem is one of mental health. I have a tendency to agree with that second position a lot more than I agree with the first position. I don't really agree with the first position at all. Now, let's just assume that both of these are true just for the sake of this hypothetical, because as a lawyer, this is the world I get to live in. I get to live in the world of the hypothetical. Okay, if the problem was that we need to get rid of all of our guns, okay, that's the only way we can protect our kids at school, how many hundreds of years will it take to accomplish that task? Because candidly, there is a massive constitutional prohibition against you just taking all the guns. And even if by some amazing occurrence, the Second Amendment was repealed and every state in the nation repealed their equivalent in their state constitution, how many decades would it actually take for you to round up all the guns? What would it take? 100? 200 years? And candidly, the only guns that you're probably going to get are those from the lawful and responsible gun owners, because the criminals didn't legally purchase the guns and they're not going to give them up either. So one, that doesn't solve the problem. But number two, even in the hypothetical where we could achieve that goal, what is it, 100, 150 years before we actually got rid of all of the guns? Okay. Now let's take a look at the other side of the equation, which is mental health. Now, I have a tendency to agree with this position, which is we have terrible mental health services in this country. I think that we need to significantly advance our mental health care. And candidly, what we did to ourselves over the pandemic probably means all of us are this close to the funny farm. So yes, we need mental health services. And candidly, sane people don't go into schools, sane people don't go into their places of employment, shopping malls, wherever, and just shoot the place up. The problem is now we're talking about medicine, and we are talking about the evolution of medicine. And so while it might take 100, 150 years to gather up all the guns, I'm much more confident in our medical community, but candidly to truly understand what makes a person do this, and then be able to detect all of those people early on, and then be able to effectively treat all of these people. What are we looking at there? 50 to 75 years of significant research and development before we're even in a position where we can begin to imagine that type of thing. So those two solutions might work in 100 years or so. But here's a solution that works right now. Spend this summer and secure these schools. Secure these schools so that there is only one egress or ingress. Secure these schools with armed security. Secure these schools with more cameras. Secure these schools by training faculty members and other staff members to lawfully, responsibly, and effectively conceal carry firearms so that they can protect our nation's most valuable resource, young people. You know, on September 11, 2001, 4 airplanes were hijacked from American airports. And by the time we opened the airports again around September 15th or 16th, no airport was in any condition where a hijacker could ever operate again. How is it that we have had so many school shootings? Because the list is long and it is disgusting. And not once have we had any discussion about how to protect these kids. You see, this is a solution that works right now. Just like the implementation of TSA worked to secure our airports and therefore secure our skies. Am I saying that we need to militarize our schools? No, I think we have to be conscientious about the effect this has on the educational process and on the environment that our kids are in. But are there ways to secure schools? Are there ways to protect these children? Are there ways to do it without traumatizing them? There most certainly is. And if government was really interested in protecting our kids, this is the first solution that they would be looking at, because this is a solution that works right now. So for those on the political left who all you want to do is take everybody's guns because you believe that's how you'll solve the problem, I will accept your position, but point out to you that we are at least a century away from actually accomplishing that task. For those on the political right who don't believe that the guns are the problem at all and instead is mental health, I, 1, have a tendency to agree with that, but number 2, for the sake of this discussion, I too will assume that to be true. What are we looking at there? 50, 75, maybe 100 years out before we really have a true understanding and a comprehensive plan in place. Or we could just secure our schools, and that can be done in the next couple of months. So my advice to both parties, not only on the national level, but on a statewide level, is if you want to really protect these kids, then do the things necessary to protect these kids and fortify and secure these schools. That's a solution that we can probably implement in the next 3 to 12 months. Listen, you may have more questions about this subject or anything else related to your Second Amendment rights, and if you do, don't ever hesitate to contact us at WashingtonGunLaw.com, or of course you can call us directly at 425-765-0487. Now, let's remember, part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here at Washington Gun Law, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching. Stay safe.